It's all starting to make sense. We should have known, ladies and gentlemen, that the Daily Wire was on the brink of collapse and that Benny Boy wants an all-out assault on my life over it because he blames me.
So Candace Owens just exposed a massive scandal. Ben Shapiro's brother-in-law is secretly coordinating lawsuits against her while Daily Wire collapses with 60% layoffs. This isn't just media drama. It's about how conservative power brokers weaponize the legal system when their business models fail. Let's break this down.
But I've been telling you guys, my real stalker in life is Ben Shapiro, okay? Since the day that I was fired from the Daily Wire, he has not stopped trying to bankrupt my family. It is almost comical at this point. We've learned to just laugh at it. It never goes away. We were laughing at the fact that he's just kind of allowed to pretend to be this normal public figure, but he's low-key a deranged stalker. And like he just sort of hides behind it, tries to dignify the stalking through legal filings.
This stalking behavior is textbook corporate retaliation, monitoring social media likes, filing frivolous lawsuits, sending interns to follow former employees. What she's describing crosses every professional boundary. When businesses use legal warfare instead of competing in the marketplace, it signals desperation and moral bankruptcy.
And I mean, for every little infraction, like they were monitoring my likes. Back when you could see likes on X, I was facing serious lawsuits over, you liked this tweet and it was a bit disparaging to us. Stalker, just full-blown stalker vibes.
Monitoring an ex-employee's Twitter likes and filing lawsuits over them? That's not business, that's obsession. Normal companies part ways professionally. This level of surveillance and legal harassment suggests someone who can't accept losing control over a former asset.
It all made sense when phone calls started coming in, emails started coming in regarding the Daily Wire layoffs, which began, I am told, on Thursday, actually, continued through Friday. There's some indication they may actually be continuing through today. And it was an absolute bloodbath. Do not allow them to spin it. Okay, I'm talking entire departments, big people at the firm, lawyers at the firm, the chief operating officer, the executive vice president, virtually the entire marketing department, the production team has now been reduced to a mere skeleton crew.
These aren't normal layoffs. Losing your COO, executive VP, entire marketing department, and legal team simultaneously is corporate death spiral territory. The timing with the coordinated legal attacks isn't coincidence. When companies face existential crisis, they often lash out at perceived enemies instead of fixing fundamental problems.
The writing has been on the wall for a while. It has been very strange, the worst kept secret in media, as they keep writing, having people publish these articles that just defy reality. We were having private conversations like, how long can they keep up this charade and keep pretending that this is not happening when everyone can see the numbers?
Media companies excel at spinning their own collapse. Remember when CNN Plus spent $300 million and lasted 1 month, but executives kept claiming victory until the very end? Insiders always know the real numbers, while public relations maintains the facade of success.
I used to work in private equity in these particular types of situations, so I knew what the implications were of bringing in private equity, especially if it's a distressed debt situation. The usual term, as it was at the company that I worked at many moons ago, is 2 years. They'll inject cash into your company. They'll float you for about 2 years as you attempt to turn things around. You fire some people, you restructure a little bit, but you're kind of walking the plank, right? Maybe you fix it. But if you don't, they're gonna sell that company, and they're gonna own a huge chunk of that company that they sell.
Her private equity background is crucial here. Distressed debt firms typically give companies 18 to 24 months to turn around before pulling the plug. If Daily Wire took money 2 years ago and still hasn't stabilized, they're living on borrowed time with borrowed money.
In fact, I would say they've just kind of cranked up the crazy, almost like they were trying to catalyze their own demise. And so, yes, it was announced on Friday that the mass layoffs took place, for which they offered this excuse to Barrett Media.
The timeline is damning. Fire your biggest star, spend 2 years obsessing over destroying her instead of building your business, then watch your audience follow her out the door. Private equity investors don't fund personal vendettas. They fund profitable companies.
Because make no mistake, this is like the equivalent of Enron. Right? It's a virtual overnight collapse. In 2023, they were arguably one of the most promising companies, conservative media companies, certainly in the game. They were at the top of the top of their game. Everyone was clamoring to work with them, to do projects with them. And now we fast forward to 2026, and generally speaking, again, I'm speaking generally, everyone hates the Daily Wire.
The Enron comparison is apt. Arthur Andersen, Lehman Brothers, WeWork. When companies prioritize image over fundamentals, collapse comes fast. Daily Wire went from industry leader to industry pariah in 18 months. That's not market forces, that's self-destruction.
People were going, God will not be mocked. It's a strong start to say Christ is King is problematic and we've got the money to make that fetch, Gretchen. So yeah, that's the chatter. Did it have to do with me?
Calling Christ as King anti-Semitic was strategic suicide for a conservative media company. That phrase is core Christian doctrine. Attacking your own audience's fundamental beliefs while claiming to represent conservative values? No wonder the audience abandoned ship.
He wrote, "The Daily Wire is the case study of why personality-driven media companies cannot compound. A peak in late 2023, Shapiro's YouTube alone pulled 170 million monthly views. Daily Wire Plus subscriptions, a Nashville studio operation, Bentkey Kids streaming, an e-commerce arm with razors and chocolates and cigars. The company was running $1 billion conservative Disney bet. Then they made the studio bet bigger. Pendragon Cycle, an Arthurian fantasy series of the kind that has bankrupted larger production houses. Bentkey trying to compete with Disney for kids' attention. Daily Wire Plus chasing Netflix. Running a newsroom, a film studio, a children's streaming platform, and a private label consumer goods business simultaneously requires either limitless capital or extraordinary discipline." Some of it worked. Matt Walsh's Am I Racist was the top grossing documentary of 2024, but most of it didn't. In March of 2024, they parted ways with Candace Owens. She walked into the open market and built a show that competes with theirs. Today, she has 5.5 million YouTube subscribers and added 10.9 million followers across platforms since January of 2025, generating roughly 805 million views in that window.
The numbers don't lie. She gained 10.9 million followers and 805 million views since leaving, while Shapiro lost 85% of his audience. Daily Wire tried to be everything: Disney, Netflix, Amazon, and became nothing. Focus beats diversification every time.
Layoffhedge.com estimates cumulative workforce reduction above 60% over the past year. Tucker Carlson left Fox in 2023. He kept his audience. He runs his shop with a fraction of the headcount. Megyn Kelly's network drew 138 million YouTube views in February alone. The personalities figured out that they don't need the platform, but the platform discovered the opposite. Daily Wire built $1 billion valuation on names that can walk, take their audience with them, and run a competing show from a laptop the next morning. 170 million views down to 222 million. The company kept the overhead, but the audience left with the people.
From 170 million monthly views to 22 million. That's not algorithm changes, that's audience rejection. Tucker and Megyn succeeded post-departure because they stayed in their lane. When talent is the product, losing talent means losing everything.
Right? Because what Akash is missing, he brings up Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly. Yes, they are indeed more successful than they were when they were on cable news. They are successful in their own right, but their exits did not destroy Fox News. That's crucial. Their exits, despite the fact that they are doing better, did not destroy Fox News. This means that Daily Wire is unique.
Exactly right. Fox survived Tucker and Megyn leaving because they didn't wage war against them. Daily Wire's collapse after her departure proved she wasn't just talent, she was a foundational pillar. Remove the foundation, watch the building fall.
I think what makes them different is that they didn't stalk their departed talent. They just let them go and they never mentioned them again, right? Tucker Carlson did not then face 2 years of arbitration and fights and gag orders with Fox News, being chased for every penny. They didn't try to stop his next move. They weren't navigating and having hit pieces written about them. They truly wanted to just turn the page, meaning they're a real business.
Professional companies cut ties cleanly. They don't stalk, sue, or sabotage former employees because they understand basic business psychology. Obsessing over the past prevents building the future. Daily Wire chose vendetta over vision.
Right? They brought back my social channels to mock me. Okay. This is unbelievable. It's beyond psychopathic to do something like this 2 years after you fire someone. They also attempted, in case you forgot, they attempted to create an entire show dedicated to making fun of this show. Remember? In the no-no, where you had that spastic girl that was like standing on the couch like a Nickelodeon girl, like making fun of me, and it was weird and it was cringe and also beyond the realm of being stalked by a former employer. Strange.
Creating shows to mock former employees and reactivating their social media channels for harassment? That's not business strategy. That's abusive ex-boyfriend behavior scaled to corporate level. No wonder audiences found it repulsive.
He bet the company on destroying me. I didn't want to fight with them. I wanted to peace out. I wish Andrew Clavin never made the Crisis King video. You'd have never heard from me. We can never speak about each other ever again. But they were plotting. They wanted to be destructive. I mean, just take a listen to him and the many battles that he is fighting.
When the face of your company develops tunnel vision focused on personal destruction rather than business growth, shareholders suffer. Shapiro bet the company on revenge and lost everything. That's not leadership. That's emotional instability with corporate consequences.
Company will eventually destroy itself. Now, if the employees found out on Friday that the company could no longer afford to sustain them, then we can reasonably assume that Ben, who's a part owner of the company, knew months ahead. And so what you're looking at there is that with his dying corporate breath, what he wanted was to come after me.
Knowing layoffs are coming but choosing to fund personal legal vendettas instead of saving jobs? That's moral bankruptcy. Board members who prioritize destroying former employees over protecting current ones deserve every bit of collapse they get.
Right? Treachery, deceit, betrayal against your own. Ben trying to destroy me, trying to destroy Megyn Kelly. That means trying to destroy a former colleague and someone like Megyn Kelly, who he said was his friend. That is perfidious. There's no other way to say that. Ben seeking to publicly humiliate Michael Knowles, say her name. There is something about that that makes the public naturally recoil, right? Because it demonstrates that you have no honor. You have no dignity.
Audiences forgive failure, incompetence, even arrogance, but betrayal of loyalty is unforgivable. When you attack former friends and colleagues, you signal to everyone that relationships are disposable. That's not someone people want to support long term.
But Peter was not Judas. We are naturally, as human beings, averse to the spirit of Judas. And that is what Ben Shapiro demonstrates, right? That he will break bread with people as he plots against them. That is a moral offense to which we cannot rally behind. People do not like his nature.
The Judas comparison cuts deep because it's accurate. People instinctively recognize calculated betrayal versus honest conflict. Breaking bread while plotting destruction violates fundamental human trust. Once that reputation sticks, audiences never fully return.
I wasn't at war with Ben. I wasn't trying to destroy Ben. I didn't tell people to boycott Ben or boycott the Daily Wire. To the contrary, I feel really bad for the employees who lost their jobs in that way. And behind the scenes, I'm trying to help some of them get new jobs because they moved their lives and their families here. But regarding Ben, that is just the spirit of a man who wants money as revenge for his own actions.
The contrast is stark. She's helping laid-off employees find new jobs while he pursues legal revenge. That's the difference between leaders who build people up and those who tear them down. Character ultimately determines outcomes.